So we're gonna move right along to the business of government. Ooh, I personally hate politics, me. But hey, we deal with it. This is the world that we live in, living in America, and certain communist and, how can I say, what is it?
Democratic.
Yes. these kinds of places. So let's talk about this. So there's many things that we can talk about, but I kind of want to talk about like the student loan forgiveness and how things are changing and being blocked. Does the government only bail out big businesses that, conduct fraud and things like that? And what can be done to the current state of government supporting the people? Recently, I think we've all kind of caught wind of an interview that Keke Palmer had with, what's her name? Kamala Harris?
Yes.
I only saw like a short snippet of it, but she talked about a bunch of things that are affecting people on the street level, but the government decides to overlook it, and they're like, ooh, let's fix this gas price over here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, versus this bombs over Baghdad that's actually going on in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have a lot. It's very complicated the way I feel about politics. I am very passionate about, especially the state of our political, like with everything going on. I think what sparked it was 2020. Mm-hmm. I became a lot more interested in how this shit works. Like, how are we like paying the taxes that pays the police that are on our street, but they treat us like that. They kill us at any chance that they, like, those are the things that like my mind could not figure out. So I started to like dive into and kind of understand politics a little bit more. It's so complicated that it's just like, I didn't even scratch the surface. But I do feel like currently our politicians are so disconnected that the day-to-day shit that does affect us and that we are like begging them to address and take care of, like, just take student loans off our plate. We can try to figure out the rest, but at least if I don't have to pay back my student loans, I can do something else with that money that would help me survive. Mm-hmm. Right. They're just like deaf to that, but then they'll be like, oh, well, now Amazon can't charge you the small fee anymore.
Something that nobody cares about.
Right. Did you hear what the fuck I said about my rent? Like, yes. That's the kind of stuff that I feel like, and I don't know, like, why that's happening. I'm sure it's a lot of, like, power that goes into it, and the politicians are choosing to not hear that shit. But it's like, it makes you feel hopeless. Like, helpless. Like, I have no control over my day-to-day life because these people who don't live the same life as me are making these decisions that are going to affect me. I don't even know what else to do besides just like, I mean, you can vote, but like, we voted for who we thought was the right person in the last presidential election.
He was the lesser of two evils.
But then, like, even with voting, like, how we don't have control over even the people that are going into those positions. So it's like you're just voting for the lesser of two evils.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's why I think that they need to have that third party. Because back then, I love history. So back then, you had the Federalists, you had the Whigs. I would have been a Whig. You had, but there was like 4 or 5 different parties, and so everybody had something. Mm-hmm. And so at the time, the Federalists were winning, and then one time the Whigs were winning, and then all of a sudden became Democrat and Republic. And then they switched because the Republicans were actually like more Democrats, and then it flipped over the years. It was really complicated, like you said. Mm-hmm. So the Republican Party of yesteryear was not the one that's up today. It was very different. Mm-hmm. And I tell people, I say, what gets me is that we can sit here and spend all this money on PPP loans and stuff like that, and the trillions of dollars pass, and people that did not need these loans, especially like. Restaurants, like luxury restaurants like Ruth Chris, like, come on now. $20 million. I was sitting here like, are you serious? But we can't bail out the students that's actually suffering. But y'all can bail out give these people that didn't even need the loans and got them forgiven. That's what got me. And when I hear like people like Marjorie who took loans and stuff and got them forgiven, I said, you need to close your mouth. Because I said, you sat here and took a loan that you really didn't need and then got them forgiven. But when it comes to like helping the people, or even with reparations for blacks, everybody has something to fucking say. I don't get that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
Like, it was free money. Like, could you be mad? If anything, I'm mad I didn't take it.
Right, I'm mad I didn't get
I'm
over here trying to be good, trying to be goody two shoes and do shit
and
the
give
right
it to the
way.
people that need it, and then you have people that didn't need it that sat here and stole millions, and I'm sitting here like, you got to be kidding me.
That's some bullshit and a half.
That's the type of political climate that we live in, that we're really being puppets of what they want to do with the rich friends.
And this is only the fraction that we know. Like,
Right.
there's so
This-
much shit that goes into like these decisions and what they're actually talking about behind closed doors. We don't even know.
The
half.
deals that's
Right.
brokered, like when you start hearing about like how the FDA, and like when they be putting out like all these like the
vaccines
No,
and
no, no, no. You could just talk about the vegetable chart. I was I watch shows like American Greed. I love history and watching stuff, and they showed it like the fruits and vegetables charts. It didn't have like dairy. Dairy wasn't even on there. Dairy didn't get on there until the dairy industry said, "Oh, you need to have milk and all this
watch
stuff."
away on it.
And they was like, "No," and it was actually more fruits and servings that you're supposed to have, but they took that out and put more of the other stuff where it's helping make money for these people that's getting paid under the table. I was like, wow.
That's a mess.
That makes you sick.
Yes, it was some good documentaries I was watching
To
about
talk
it.
about education is a whole nother ballgame because I'm just like, why don't they teach us or try to prepare us for the real world? Like the fact
to
that
keep you down.
financial literacy isn't taught in school, but then like you're expected for us to get out of school and completely know how to navigate credit, loans, how to buy a house, how to just manage or budget your money, like housing. The fact that it's not taught in school, I think, is on purpose. I'm sure it's on purpose.
Because you won't catch up. And I was talking to a friend that knows some politicians, some close ones, and he said, you know, you can't catch up. He said, if you coming out of school with almost $150,000, they know you're not going to be able to afford to stay in their neighborhoods. So you're going to having to stay down there where you're going to have to be work for the rest of your life, and they're always going to stay up here in the nice area, keeping your ass up out of there. I was like, wow.
Lord of
I
mercy.
feel like that might have been a thing back in the day. There's so many entrepreneurs and different ways to make money now. It's just like I feel like they really can't.
They'll find a way.
I think that's kind of where we're standing, where we're finding a way to make sure that we come up.
And that's why there's things being reversed, like the
they're
affirmative
like,
action and
exactly.
shit.
So,
They're like, you're outsmarting
let's
us.
move on.
trying to-
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. So speaking of which, let's go ahead and move right along because we're getting close to the end of our show for today. Let's talk about a little bit more business of the government. So the Supreme Court reverses affirmative action, and I don't even have to ask you guys this question if it's bad or good. Horrible. What are some of the reasons that we feel? Oh yeah. So what are some of the reasons that we feel like things like this are happening? Even though I kind of answered that question by the bring-in. So
Let me tell
racism.
you, come on,
Before you
there's
ask this
always
question,
something.
I just want to know. I've been dying to ask. Given the fact that it was a black man, Clarence Thomas, making that whole decision when he was the one that actually.
There's a term in the
benefited
black community. You may
I
look
know
like
that. I know,
us,
I've
but
seen
you're
it.
not one of
I've heard
us.
that.
You know what I mean?
I've heard
That's
that.
a
I've
huge.
heard the
That's a
term.
huge
I've
term
heard
in the black
term, but
community
I feel like that was a slap in the face.
because he had benefited from it.
Right.
He
for the black
benefited from it.
community. I want to hear from y'all. Like, what is it? How does that feel?
Because I think some black people don't want other black people or in general to be as successful as them. So he used it as a crutch and okay, now I got my way up. So I don't want to feel like I want to be the only black person in the room. First of all, that man's on his way out. These people are old as fuck. So I don't know how they feel intimidated by like younger people or people that are in a place that can currently benefit from that being a threat. But I do feel like that in a sense, like people like him who benefited from it don't want anybody else to like come up and to possibly be a threat or threaten his position. So he makes it so like, okay, well I got in. Anyways,
So he's basically like
I stay the only
Diddy.
black person in the room. I stay the only powerful black person in the
So
room.
he was telling us at the fire, we got noise out the butt today. We never have this much noise.
It's alive in the streets today, y'all.
Sorry, y'all.
It's a busy Sunday.
But I see what you're saying. It's like crabs in a barrel, and also it's like, oh, let me keep you down. And I've noticed that, like being from Kansas, you have a lot of uppity ass black people. They, doing all this and stuff, and so you have to worry about them. Like when I was at work most of the time, I already knew what I was going to expect from the white folks. I already knew what I was expect from the Asians. I already knew that. The black people is what you had to watch out for.
They like being the only.
They like being the only one up there, the
And I
token
can
black
speak-
guy or
and
black girl.
I can speak from like the Mexican or Hispanic community. I've never have seen that or experienced that in any other community. And being the fact that I have, my group of friends is basically 90% black, it's like, and I'm looking at it and I'm just like, bro, let's just keep going. Let's help each other. What's going on?
Where in the
And then
Hispanic community, you guys are more so about family and helping one another.
Yes, and I think the black community also But then when you guys talk about like this rotten apples, and I just never had that being.
It's
I've never
severe.
witnessed that in a Hispanic or Mexican household or community.
It's severe. We have I think our advance in the race is a lot more severe. That's why somebody like Clarence Thomas can do that, because everybody want to be, even with black, everybody want to be white. Everybody want to be white. So when I was in school, this is just going back to like middle school. The light skinned girls, he's fine, but I want me a light skinned dude. I want me a light,
it's a thing.
it's the colorism thing. So Clarence Thomas, he's dating a white woman.
That part.
People start to think that they're white, and I'm like, you're not white. I said, what they say, take away interracial relationship? You ain't gonna be able to be with that white woman no more.
That
I
part.
don't see him saying anything about that. That's the problem. But that's the thing. They want to cherry pick things that really doesn't affect them. But I'm pretty sure once he's on out the door, they're gonna be like, oh, he set the foundation for us to start getting interracial marriage and all that stuff on out of there. So pretty soon, you ain't gonna be able to sit by no black person or a white person. You're gonna have to be segregated because of this idiot. That's what goes.
That's what it's giving.
I make a point to be around black people. No, I'm just saying, like, if it was to be segregated again, listen, I'm not sure.
Listen. Here's the thing. We're at the point where we're realizing that trying to have a seat at the table is actually problematic for us. We're at a point where we can build our own tables, our own chairs, our own houses that cover those tables and chairs. So if things revert back to segregation, I feel like the white people will have the problem.
But they have. I mean, it's proven history. Like they have.
Tulsa,
Y'all have
Oklahoma.
built, and that's just one
Tulsa,
example. But there's so many
Central
examples
Park.
and all this shit. It's like, I'm frustrated for y'all. Like, it's crazy how much y'all do, and white people just come out and blow it like a fucking, like they nothing. And then start all over.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not like glamorizing segregation. I'm saying like segregation and what our ancestors or previous generations had experienced is not what I'm wishing upon us, and I'm not discrediting what they went through or saying like that was okay by any means. But I'm just saying like it's more headache than it's worth trying to get on the same page with these people. Sometimes it feels that way. Sometimes it does feel like we're fighting an uphill battle, and it's just like it's oil and water. So like sometimes I thoroughly enjoyed being around my people, and I found like it's not that tension that
you don't have to force the conversation.
Right.
And trying to get on the same page with somebody. I'm not wishing it. I wish it could be different, but if that's what politicians decide to bring about, I'm not saying I would hate it.
In a yang note, though, I do have seen more white people on social media speaking about it and talking about, you know, moving the country forward in a more positive way.
We're gonna come back.
Yes. We are almost to the close of our episode.
Yes.
And we're gonna come back with a quick little story time.
Absolutely.
Hello, ladies and gentlethems. If you're enjoying the show, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you can not only be a part of the conversation, but you will also be in the know when we upload new content. Love and light to you all.